The Minnesota Timberwolves have a really bright future ahead of them. Let's get into this. Coming into this season, the expectations for the Minnesota Timberwolves were for them to make the playoffs at the very least. And if you want to blame bad coaching, injuries, or just general bad play, you can. But obviously it didn't work out for the Timberwolves, and they were one of the worst teams in the league this year. But as of late, the Minnesota Timberwolves have really stepped up their game and really shown that they have a really bright future ahead of them. They fired their head coach Flip Saunders Jr., and ever since then they've been playing a lot better. So that would lead you to believe that he was the problem with the Minnesota Timberwolves. But there was also more issues. D'Angelo Russell was out for most of the season, and he's recently come back, and they have all been coming back and being healthy. And also Anthony Edwards has also been playing a lot better ever since the second half of the year started. In the beginning of the year, a lot of people don't realize this, Anthony Edwards was having a pretty rough start to his rookie career, as many rookies would, especially with all the pressure of being the #1 overall pick. But as of late, he's really figured it out and played a lot better and way more efficient as well. Obviously the Timberwolves aren't good enough. They had too bad of a start to the season to really come back from this and really have a chance to make it to the playoffs, even the play-in game. But for the rest of the season, you just want to see the big three of Anthony Edwards, Karl-Anthony Towns, and D'Angelo Russell all healthy and just see how well they play. And recently they've been playing great, and that would lead you to believe that they have a great future ahead of them. All three guys are definitely all-star type guys, especially when you look at Anthony Edwards. I think he will be in the future. But going through and breaking down each person's game, starting with D'Angelo Russell, D'Lo is really more of a scoring guard in the eyes of a lot of people, which he is. He's very great at scoring the ball, but I think he's a very underrated passer and playmaker in this league. And when you combine that with the fact that he has two other all-star type players on his team, that's really helpful. D'Lo obviously has great size at 6'5" at that point guard position, so he works great in the pick and roll, and he can see over the defenders to kick out to wide open corner shooters, as I said, because he's a much better playmaker and facilitator than a lot of people believe that he is. But also another thing that I really like about D'Lo's passing and facilitating is the fact that sometimes he just stands at the top of the key and just evaluates the defense, and sometimes if his teammate would make a quick backdoor cut or maybe some guy would be open for the corner three, he quickly realizes it and sees it and throws a fastball like in baseball to that guy, and he gets an easy layup or wide open three. And when you talk about D'Lo's scoring ability, it's very well known. He's a great scorer in this league. He can easily get to the basket. He's definitely extremely crafty with his ball handling, getting to the basket, so he finishes at the basket pretty well. He's not super athletic, so he can't really dunk over people, but he's very crafty with the type of finishes and layups he gets around the rim, so obviously he's great at that. Also, he's definitely a very good shooter in this league. He has a very good three-point shot, as well as a pretty decent mid-range pull-up. D'Lo isn't necessarily the most athletic guy in the league, but he's just a guy who really understands the game and really gets to his spots, somewhat similar to Paul Pierce. I'm not saying he plays like Paul Pierce, but he plays similar to him in the sense that they both aren't super athletic, but they just know where to go on the court and find their spots where they want to shoot from. And for that reason, I think he's a very effective offensive player. And I really like the pick and roll with Karl-Anthony Towns and D'Lo, because D'Lo, obviously, as I said, is a great passer, so he can easily pass it to Karl-Anthony Towns or a wide open corner shooter for three. But he's also very good at the pull-up mid-range shot as well, so you can get those shots pretty easily, or you could just drive to the basket and finish with a crafty move. When you're on a really talented team like the Timberwolves are, you really need that guy like D'Angelo Russell who can calm everyone down and just get easy and open shots for teammates, which he does. So that's why I really like the fit with D'Lo on this Timberwolves team. But now moving on to Karl-Anthony Towns. Obviously, Karl-Anthony Towns, at least at the moment, is the best out of the three players, out of D'Lo and Anthony Edwards, and he's really going to be the main star on this team and the guy they really go to down in the clutch. And Karl-Anthony Towns' main strength in this league is his scoring ability. He could literally do everything offensively, which is the new way the league is going towards, where your big men could score in literally every single way. Towns has really improved his three-point range and now has a very effective three-point shot from anywhere on the court, especially in the pick and pops where he gets pretty wide open shots from three. But he can also bang down in the post and finish with some nice hook shots that he's been working on and improving his strength down in the post as well. Towns also has great mobility to quickly get to the basket on the pick and roll situations, as well as crash the offensive board and get easy putback finishes off those offensive rebounds, which also helps him and his team. And also another underrated underrated thing about Karl-Anthony Towns' game is the fact when he's in the high post, he just waits there and really analyzes the defense, similar to D'Angelo Russell, and he usually finds a wide open cutter cutting to the basket, or sometimes a wide open corner shooter from 3. Towns is definitely exactly what the new NBA is going towards, in the sense that you want your center to be able to do literally everything offensively. Now on the defensive end, Karl-Anthony Towns has historically not been the best on that defensive end and definitely struggled, especially in the pick and roll situations. But I will say throughout his whole career, he's definitely been a very good shot blocker, and this season he's definitely improved his defense slightly, but it's good to see that he's eventually improving that, and especially when you're talking about the pick and roll defense, that's very important if you want to be able to win some playoff series. But obviously, as I said, it's really good to see that Karl-Anthony Towns has been improving, even though it's a little bit, because hopefully in the future he can continue to improve to where he could be at least a decent defender in the pick and roll and really help his team in that sense as well. Now moving on to Anthony Edwards, he's one of the bigger question marks out of the 3 because obviously he's in his rookie season, but currently at the moment Anthony Edwards looks very good and very poised to be an all-star for years to come, maybe even better. When you watch Anthony Edwards out there, he's obviously one of the most athletic guys we have in the NBA, and he's just a very elite slasher even at this very early stage of his career. Obviously you always need a guy like Anthony Edwards who can easily get to the basket consistently, because that breaks down the defense, and now you can easily kick out to someone if they double team and send help in the paint, and that just opens everything up defensively. But as I said before, there's guys like D'Angelo Russell who could get to the basket but aren't super athletic and finish with super clever plays around the rim, but Anthony Edwards is not one of those guys. He's obviously one of the most athletic guys we have in the league, and he's had so many monster posterizers, and he definitely has a dunk of the year over that guy, one of those plays. Now moving on to other parts of his game, obviously coming into the league he wasn't known as a great shooter or even a decent shooter. He was known as a guy who chucks up a bunch of threes, has a decent form, but doesn't make a high percentage of them, and coming into the league he's basically been just about that, where he puts up a lot of threes, he hits some of them at times, but he's not really a great shooter from the 3-point range. But he's definitely been improving that recently, especially where he just had a crazy shooting game against the Blazers. And just to see that the fact that Anthony Edwards has somewhat of a decent form is good to see for him, and the fact that he's been hitting it a lot more consistently as of late is a very good sign going forward. When you look at a guy like Anthony Edwards who has super elite finishing ability and super athletic, guys like that typically aren't great shooters or even good shooters at that. So if Anthony Edwards could get somewhat of a decent 3-point shot, which he's shown the ability to, at least in his rookie season at times, but if he can get that a little more consistent, he could really be very elite in this league. I hate to keep pointing at Giannis, but when you look at a guy who's super athletic and very good at getting to the basket, that works in the regular season, but when it comes down to the playoffs, teams that are better obviously suited to defend that really figure that out, and eventually you're going to have to be able to shoot the ball to win. Now obviously Anthony Edwards is super young in this league, he's only in his rookie season, but I just wanted to point that out for something that he should work on going forward. And obviously he has been working on his jump shot, because we have seen a little bit of an improvement, and in some games he's absolutely on fire, like that Portland Trailblazers game, which is a very good sight to see for him. Anthony Edwards is obviously super talented and has a ton of potential going forward in this league. Obviously all you want to see from him is to continue to work really hard and work on the weaknesses in his game, like any other player, superstar player you would want to see that from, and he'll be fine. I just really think the trio of Karl-Anthony Towns, D'Lo, and Anthony Edwards have a really bright future going forward. But one caveat to this video, as I made a video in the past that Karl-Anthony Towns could potentially want out if the situation doesn't get better in Minnesota, and obviously for them to have a bright future, they obviously need Karl-Anthony Towns to be a part of that. So if he were to leave, obviously that would change everything. But I will say the Minnesota Timberwolves have been looking a lot better recently, and obviously I would say there's a much better chance now that Towns would stay, rather than before when the Timberwolves were one of the worst teams in the league. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think this big three could potentially win an NBA championship going forward? Or do you think this big three may potentially either break up or maybe never even come close to them winning a championship? But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did enjoy, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps me out a lot. Until the next time, peace out guys.